What if telling my story is scary? Yeah. Sometimes the memories and the stories that live inside of us, we've worked really hard to keep right there, to to not give it power. And sometimes we've done that for the benefit of others. And so stepping up to tell your story that maybe hasn't been voiced, it shows up in our bodies as energy. It shows up that we haven't shared it. And that energy can start taking a toll on our bodies, can start manifesting in ways where we make decisions that don't make sense. And a lot of times our body will give us physical reactions whenever we are tempted to think about it or in a situation where we're by someone that's part of that memory. And so thinking that we don't speak it is hard and scary is super valuable, but there's a price we're paying. And today is February 11th, 2026. And this little lady, this is my memoir. And she is 3 years old today. I named the warrior on the covered jewels. And since I published this 3 years ago, I've always said that she gets to hold these stories so I don't have to anymore. But for me, I carried so many things. I was carrying so many stories, and I don't know that I necessarily wasn't speaking them. But when I showed up to speak them a year previous to publishing this, it was so hard to revisit those memories. But then once they were out, just even writing them on paper, it wasn't that the book was published. I was speaking my truth. And for some reason, my truth was wedged inside of me. And it was dictating what was happening in my life. And so by picking up a pen and writing my manuscript by hand, it released something in me. And it was about honoring my story and my voice, and it was scary. And I didn't publish the book for almost a whole year later, and I was really worried about what people would say, not only from the vulnerability I showed up with in the book. I was airing out situations that I had held very tightly, and I was willing to release it for anybody to read. And the people that were a part of my story were still alive and lived relatively close by, and I thought the sky was going to fall. You know what? When we own our stories, something beautiful happens. The sky doesn't fall. And if it does fall, because someone doesn't like that you told your story, now there's a difference between honoring our stories and throwing out bad energy in order to like seek revenge or to do a smear campaign. That's different. I'm talking about releasing the stories within us that don't belong there to be held in a negative way. And so my truth was worthy of putting in this book, and really it changed everything. So if you're someone who it's like, yeah, but I wasn't listened to before. Yeah, but that's so and so. I can't ever say that. Yeah, but then I might not be able to go to these parties, these birthday parties for whomever. You're right. There sometimes is a cost, but then the question actually comes back to self. Why are you not worthy of telling your story? Why are you not worthy of taking up space and saying, this is who I am. This is my truth. And right now, I feel like we're coming to a time in America where there isn't as much of a middle ground. with our stories, with our choices, and what we support. People are showing up and saying, I don't respect your story and you as a human, which is, I think, why people are scared to tell their story. Or the other side, where people are saying, I love you for being a human, and we're all worthy of our story and our path and our journey and deserve respect. And so consider that right now. What are you noticing? There's a bigger divide happening. And I'm so thankful that my company and I came to a place where I honor humans. I don't have room to judge. I've made lots of bad decisions that all got me to this place. But I love to honor people's stories. This is the beautiful story of Pat Passero. She was in hospice care, and her dying wish was to be a published author. And this came kind of out of nowhere when I had published Tumbled. And I met with this beautiful woman. It was my job to spend her last months of her life by her side, holding her hand. And it's interesting, the stories that wanted to come out of her at the end. These stories she'd held for so long. This is beautiful. And she felt honored because I was willing to acknowledge, listen, not judge, and to actually write about it with her. Again, it's about our journeys, and we're worthy, and she's beautiful. Bless her. And then Hezime came along. All of a sudden, I realized I love honoring people's stories and their voices. And so now, just yesterday, I published the 18th book for Hezime in the 3 years since Tumbled was published. And it's about honoring the author's voices that show up. That's who shows up here, are the people who feel called to be like, I think I need to share this. And beautiful books have come forward to be a tool and an asset and available for people that need to feel seen, heard, and validated in their own lives, and maybe empowered to tell their own story. And this, Floyd's Baller, was a Daryl Hunter story. This one published yesterday. And it's controversial. Why? Because it's attached to George Floyd. And don't we all want to define who he was? Was he worthy to live? Was he worthy to die? And the narrative that we've all heard, picked apart, he was human. And Daryl Hunter was his close friend for many, many years. And it's about choices and friendship and who people are before they're sensationalized or before people judge them. We're all imperfect. And so it's interesting as this book comes out again, the theme of Hezime and me is finding your story and your voice, and it matters. And you bet it's ruffling feathers. Why is it that we struggle as a society to honor people just for existing? I fully anticipate this to be a banned book. It's a young adult historical fiction that I used to be an English teacher, and I worked in alternative education, and this is the book that young adults need right now. This is it. And because it's attached to George Floyd, I'm assuming, and there's truth in it, I'm sure it's going to be a banned book. And guess what? Still worthy of being told, written, talked about, studied, just like this was. And so my story, giving, oh, I just got goosebumps. Giving acknowledgement to my lived experiences without judgment and just saying, I don't want to carry them anymore. You bet it changed my life. But if you are someone who's held back your voice, what would that freedom feel like? You know what I found? I found friggin' joy. I don't think I knew what joy was because of the weight of the stories I've been carrying my whole freaking life. You don't have to publish a book. You don't have to get on a platform. I think it starts with being honest with yourself. What stories are you holding? How is that affecting you? And if you were to share it with one person or to write about it or whatever, what would that change for you? Because let me tell you, the more that people show up honestly, vulnerably, with integrity, it's creating ripples. Because then someone else feels safe enough. And that's why I started this. Didn't know. But I'm really happy where I'm at. So this baby, we celebrate 3 years. Pat's book will be almost 3 years pretty soon. And we welcome Floyd's Baller to my personal writings. And let's make some waves. Let's make some waves of honoring our journey. Because we only get one life. And why are we living to other people's standards? My name is Heather Wild. My company's name is Hezzy May. And I got you. Take care.